Olá, meu nome é Andrei Gugel e esse aqui é o X-Lab, onde eu sempre falo sobre temas relacionados ao design de produtos e serviços digitais. Então, se você gosta desse conteúdo e se faz sentido para você, assine o X-Lab e me siga também nas outras redes sociais. Hoje eu tenho assim a alegria de conhecer um pouco mais sobre Saki Mafundikwa, que vai ser um dos palestrantes durante a World Class Designer Conference. Saki é designer gráfico, filmmaker, professor de design e fundador do Zimbabwe Institute of Digital Arts. Ele me contou muitas coisas sobre o começo da sua carreira em Nova York e suas motivações para voltar para o Zimbábue, seu país de origem, depois de quase 20 anos vivendo nos Estados Unidos para fundar a sua escola de design. Saki também é autor, ele escreveu esse livro aqui, African Alphabets, The Story of Writing in Africa, que vai ser relançado esse ano e no final desse episódio aqui tem uma surpresa para vocês sobre isso. Acompanhe agora a nossa conversa e fique até o final. Thank you very much again, Saki. You are very welcome to XLab.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation and the welcoming.
Thank you. Saki, I know that just to start this conversation, I know that you spent 2 decades working in New York, right, as a graphic designer. And as we know, New York has always been one of the most competitive markets globally, right, especially for creatives like designers and advertisers and so on. And what was the beginning of your career like? Did you start in Zimbabwe as a graphic designer? How was it to arrive in New York City and get in touch with this new market?
Well, actually, I wasn't a graphic designer in Zimbabwe. I was an artist. I liked typography. I didn't know it was called typography. It's only when I went to America to school that I discovered that what I always did and loved was graphic design. So I went to graduate school in New Haven, an hour and a half from New York City, and had fallen in love with the city. Besides working at an ad agency in New York City the summer before graduating from Yale, I wanted so bad to live in New York City. They used to say, if you can make it in New York, you will make it anywhere in the world. And I wanted to do that. That's how I ended up in New York, you know.
It's exciting, right? To be in that place. I mean, observing that atmosphere, right? And people discussing about things. And you were, wow, amazed, right, by that scenario. And then started in graphic design. Wow, this is awesome. Awesome. And wow, tell me more about New York and your work there, Saki.
Well, when I was in graduate school, Yale is only an hour and a half from New York, so we used to go down there during my 2 years in graduate school. We used to go to New York on weekends. We used to go to museums, but most importantly, we used to go dancing. We used to go to the clubs, and you from New Haven, there's a train that you take, and the last train is like about 11 p.m. So we would be out dancing, and we had to make sure that we make that last train to go back to New Haven. You know?
Yes.
It was a very exciting time. This was the 80s, you know. So
yes.
You had clubs in New York like Danceteria, the Palladium, these were big clubs, and there were dance clubs. So we love to go into New York and dance, just dance, you know. And of course, the museums, the galleries, this was also important. And I really fell in love with the city. And I thought to myself, when I graduate from here, I want to go to live in New York, to live and work in New York. And my dream came true. 1985, I moved to New York, and my first job was the advertising agency that had hired me the summer before. They gave me a job. So after graduate school, I had a job in New York,
Wow,
which was
amazing.
which was pretty amazing. And
Yes.
yeah, so for a while, I became a New Yorker.
Exciting, right? Visiting museums, I mean, and everything that we have access in New York, right? It's everything exciting, right? To stimulate the creativity.
Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine your mind just
Oh,
discovering the
it
whole thing.
it was amazing. I even met my first wife in New York, and my two boys in New York City. You know, so
Oh,
I can say that New York was very good to me.
oh, definitely, definitely. We can see. And
Yeah.
then after 2 decades, Saki, you decided to return, right, to Zimbabwe to open the Institute of Digital Arts, or simply Ziva, right? That's the name,
Yes.
Ziva.
Yes.
And how was that return? You see, what motivated you to open this design school in Zimbabwe after, right, living in New York for 20 years or more than 20 years, right?
Just a little under 20 years. Well, the dream for the school grew while I was at Yale as a student. I
Mm-hmm.
saw what was happening in design in the US at the time, and it felt like Zimbabwe was so far behind. I wanted a school that would make my country catch up, you know. Designers in my country were creating work that was a mere copy of what was coming out of the US and Europe. I knew there was more in Africa, and Zimbabwe in particular, that could inspire them. So, digital is a term I coined for visual arts taught using digital tools because the school was created during the great digital revolution of the 90s. So, it was really a desire to do something for my country, to give back to my country. And the school was the best way that I thought was the best way to give back. I felt that my life had been so blessed, you know, coming to America, going to school, ending up living and working in New York. I thought these were blessings, and so I was thinking of how can I give back, and a school was really the best way that I felt I could do that.
Awesome, awesome. Saki, makes sense, right? Because after that, I mean, it's fair, right, to look at your place, right, your roots, and then starting something there as well, right?
Yes, yes.
Awesome, awesome to hear from your experience. Amazing, Saki. I wanted to talk a little bit about African alphabets. You see, I know you wrote a book about it, right? And how was the research to write your book? You see, a lot of things, right, to discover, to research. And what did you learn in this process?
Man, that was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I discovered the existence of writing systems from sub Saharan Africa when I was in graduate school at Yale, and it became my master's thesis. And
Mhm.
many years later, it turned into that groundbreaking book. It is currently out of print, but
Oh,
I'm working on a new edition, which will have plenty of new material, which should come out, inshallah, this year, 2021.
wow. Let us know, Saki.
Yes.
Let us know.
I know the book has a lot of fans in Brazil. Uh, many,
Hmm.
many people in Brazil found that book very valuable, and
Mm.
they always get in touch with me. Saki, where can you get the book? Well, a new edition is coming,
Oh,
and
Saki.
I'll make sure that it gets to Brazil.
Oh, Saki, I can understand. You see what people are saying because when we learn from Africa, we are learning from Brazil as well. You see, our roots are
Yes,
the same. I
yes,
think it's understandable. Yeah, why people are interested in your book, and let
Mm.
us know. I mean, amazing to learn more about this history, right? It's awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, Sak, as a Brazilian, I'm a Brazilian designer, right? Working abroad, working for different markets, but I'm Brazilian, right? And your words resonate with me, you see, because I see that just as you had defined it in Africa, in Brazil, we are also guided by North America, European design, and other places, but not in our roots. And we have a lot to learn, you see. And reading your book, for instance, understanding our history. Also, we have indigenous people, right? And this
Yeah.
mix of cultures, including Africans, and this is Brazil, right? And
Mm. Mm.
if we look closer, it indeed happens elsewhere. You see, it's not exclusively from Brazil. Well, of course, I think it's like it's a colonized
Mm.
component. You see, and we
Mm.
can see here and there such thing. But what advice, Saki, would you give for those who seek to learn about their own roots? You see, how is this process started?
I think that as far as Africa, the African influence is concerned, Brazil is really in a very good position because uh, Bahia, de Salvador, has the
Yes,
largest population of Africans outside
exactly.
of the African continent. So there is a lot of richness in Brazil as it is, you know, because as you rightfully said, the Brazilian culture is that mix of the African, the indigenous, and the Portuguese. So
Exactly.
yes, so you have a very special culture there, and it'll be amazing if you can uh, borrow, take from each one. It makes for your work, for your design work to be quite rich, right? And I call this process finding our way home. And I run workshops on how to do this. Design is always taught from that Eurocentric lens. Even for people who have never been to Europe or America, it's as if design is a Western construct, like we, the other, have no design in our cultures. Nothing could be further from the truth. Every culture has design and design traditions. It's only that the dominant culture, which is that European Western culture, which has controlled and has force fed us this narrative, and we bought it. We fell for it hook, line, and sinker. Go deep into your culture and you'll find design there. Adopt that and create design that is culturally relevant and speaks to who you really are. There is a decolonization fire that is blazing globally now. The
Yes.
natives are restless and clamoring for their own voices to be heard. It's happening, and it's happening now, even in
Yes.
Brazil.
Exactly, Saki. You see, we were talking about Paulo Freire, for instance, you see, and
Yeah.
my understanding that Paulo Freire was like it's participatory design approach, you see, putting people together, discussing, and it's amazing the amount of things we can discover just observing our history.
Mm.
It's exactly what we are talking here, Saki. It's amazing. And you see, I was fascinated by Adinkra, you see, from Ghana,
Mm.
right? And
Mm.
Sankofa especially because this ideogram represents so much, right, Saki?
Yes, yes.
To look at roots. And I know I heard that this is one of your favorite ideograms, right? The Sankofa. Can you tell me more about it? I can't lose this chance, right, to ask an expert in African alphabets.
Yes. Well, Sankofa, Sankofa gives a name and symbol to the concept of self-discovery symbol that embodies a movement of knowing yourself. Like the great Jamaican leader said, a person, Marcus Garvey, he said, a person without a knowledge of self and own history is like a tree without roots. Imagine a tree without roots. Can it stand? Can a tree without roots stand? No, it can't. It will fall, right? So just like that, the same for us in design. Without looking back and learning about ourselves and our history, we cannot be designers of worth. You know, we cannot create work that comes from us. We are like a tree without roots.
Yes.
So Sankofa is really, for me, a powerful, powerful symbol. Okay? It's a bird that is looking backwards like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I just love what it stands for, its meaning, you know. And I think that Sankofa, it might be a word from Ghana, right? From the Akan language in Ghana. But Sankofa really is for everybody in the world. That's our symbol.
Yes, Saki. It's beautiful. You see the meaning behind the ideogram. And you see in Brazil it's common to see Sankofa applied to house grids. You see, certainly a legacy, right, of Africans here. It's really common. I mean, I grew up, you see, observing this shape, you see, of Sankofa. And houses here in the Northeast, at least, it's pretty common. In Brazil, in general, really powerful hearing from you this explanation. And Saki, what are your expectations on the World Class Designer Conference that will happen soon, right?
Well, first of all, when Gideon approached me and asked me to be a speaker at the conference, of course I said yes, because it's an African asking an African to be part of his project, you know. And we Africans, we have to make the conference a success. So of course I had to be there. And but when the website was set up and I was looking at the roster of speakers, I was like, are you kidding? This guy knows all these people, all these amazing designers from all over the world. I don't
No,
know
you
how.
are talking about me, Saki, because this is exactly what I see, the lineup and see. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. I know. I was like, are you kidding? You know, I mean, how did this guy do this? You know, but I'm very happy for him, um,
Yes.
for his conference, his project. You know, that it is of such uh, just amazing speakers. You know, from the best in the world. You know, and I really, really, really uh, support him. I admire him for it, and I congratulate him that he was able to do this, to pull this together. So my only gripe, understandable, and it can be explained, is that there are not enough Africans, enough African speakers. And I know what the reason is. The reason is because, you know, design is an industry that that is only in its infancy, in Africa, and we're working hard, to get more and more Africans into design and to a point or position where they can be speakers at a conference. So I'm not worried too much. I know the next one there will be a lot of Africans.
Oh, Saki. Gideon is an amazing guy, right? I mean,
Yeah,
visionary guy. I mean, bringing this conference, yeah, and a lot of people, as you said, it's
yeah,
amazing. I mean, I also admire
yeah,
him so much. And
absolutely.
Saki, what advice would you give to novice designers around the world, not only in Brazil, but around the world, Saki? What you would
Mhm.
say?
Well, I would say to them, um, the world is changing. It's not the same as when I went to school.
Hmm.
When I went to school, design was this Western thing,
Uh-huh.
and you had to learn it and learn it very well. But now we are living in a time when we, the natives of the world, are saying, oh no, we also have design in our cultures. So I would say to novice designers, believe in yourself, okay? Do not look down upon your culture. Your culture is very rich, and the world is ready for it. They are waiting, they want to see this culture. So bring it out. Don't be afraid. And I want to say to mostly to uh, writers, people who write books and stuff from Brazil, from Africa, from Southeast Asia, from other South American countries, Central America, Colombia, Tibet, Kathmandu, Australia, the Aborigines, the Maori people, the indigenous people of America, Canada, you know, it's your time. It's our time. It's time for the world now. We need to show the world who we really are. And in design, oh my God, the perfect vehicle to do that. Your work is going to speak, it's going to stand up, it's going to represent you at these international conferences, in schools, in all kind of forums where there is design to be discussed. And it's not just going to be graphic design, it's going to be design, visual communication. It's going to happen in fashion, it's going to happen in architecture, it's going to happen in furniture design. I'm sure in your district where you live, there are a lot of traditional uh, furniture,
Yes.
traditional implements, things that we use in the house and everything. But we like to forget all that and go and buy the Western thing, which
Hmm.
doesn't look,
Yes.
and which is not even as beautiful as the one that we make ourselves. We should have this,
Exactly.
we should believe in ourselves and have this pride in our cultural output. That is our design. That's what we can show the world. When we sit at the table, globalization, right, was a big table, people coming in, and you were accepted at the table because you had something different to offer from the Western thing that everybody knows. That's why you had a seat at the table. So it's time now to show the rest of the world those things that are yours, that come from deep within. That is your design.
I hear your voice, Saki. You are an amazing guy. thank you again for being here with me on XLab. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh man, I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Saki. See you
I'll
on the conference.
I'll say obrigado.
Oh, sounds good. Sounds perfect, Saki.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank
Ciao.
you.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Okay.
Ciao.
Yeah.
Let me know when you have the book, because I really
Okay.
want first read it, right? And also speak about your book, you see, in Brazil. It's
Yeah.
so important, Saki,
We,
as you know.
we, we can have another show about the book.
You are very welcome.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yes.
You. You.